Good morning, dear colleagues. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you all for coming on this last day of the National Directors meeting, the third day, and on being on time for an early event at 9 o'clock. Well done. I'm very pleased to be here, and thank you very much to Anama for this invitation. I would like to turn the floor to Mr. Samir Poladov for the opening remarks. Samir,
Thank you very much, Rana. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all on this side event entitled From Contamination to Recovery, Mine Action as a Foundation for Reconstruction. I would like to thank all of you for joining us today and for your continued engagement in advancing humanitarian mine action globally. Landmines and explosive remnants of war remain among the most persistent and complex challenges in post-conflict environments. Their impact extends far beyond immediate humanitarian consequences. Contamination prevents the safe return of displaced populations, delays reconstruction of critical infrastructure, restricts access to land and natural resources, and ultimately hinders long-term development. In Azerbaijan, we are facing one of the largest contamination challenges in the world. According to our national estimates, approximately 11.6 thousand square kilometers of land remained contaminated with mines and other explosive devices. It is estimated that more than 1 million landmines were laid across these territories, creating significant obstacles for recovery and reconstruction efforts. At the same time, this context clearly demonstrates an important reality. Without proper land release process, recovery cannot begin. The human impact of this contamination is also significant. Since the end of the conflict, 422 persons have become victims of landmines and in explosive incidents, highlighting the ongoing risks faced by civilians even after active hostilities have been ceased. After the end of the war back in 2020, Azerbaijan has undertaken large-scale efforts to address this challenge. More than 265,000 hectares of high-priority land have been cleared, where more than 248,000 pieces of landmines and other explosive devices have been found and destroyed. Mine action is not only technically complex, it is also highly resource-intensive. During this period, approximately 550 million more than 550 million United States dollars have been allocated to demining activities in Azerbaijan, and around 96% of this funding has been provided directly by the government of Azerbaijan from the state budget. In recent years, Azerbaijan has undertaken extensive efforts to address contamination and link mine action with broader national recovery priorities, particularly within the framework of the Great Return Program. This experience has reinforced the importance of integrating mine action into planning processes for reconstruction and development from the very beginning. Thanks to the combined efforts in clearance and reconstruction up to date, works have been carried out in 9 cities. Reconstruction works have been carried out in 9 cities and 32 villages, where approximately 31.6 thousand former IDPs have already been resettled back to their homes. This process continues at a rapid pace. Overall, since 2020, end of the war, around 15 billion US dollars have been allocated by the government of Azerbaijan to reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts in the liberated territories. These figures clearly demonstrate one key message. Mine action is not only about removing explosive hazards, it is about enabling recovery, rebuilding communities, and restoring normal life. Without clearance, reconstruction cannot begin. Without safety, return is not possible. This is not, however, a challenge only in Azerbaijan. Many countries around the world face similar situations where contamination continues to delay recovery and development. This is why platforms such as today's discussion are essential. Today's panel brings together distinguished representatives from national authorities, international organizations, and development partners. It provides an opportunity to exchange experiences, highlight practical approaches, and explore how stronger coordination between mine action and development actors can accelerate recovery in post-conflict settings. I would also like to underline the importance of international cooperation in this regard. Addressing large-scale contamination requires not only national efforts, but also sustained international support, partnerships, and the sharing of expertise and innovation. In this context, we believe that strengthening the recognition of mine action as an integral part of recovery and development frameworks is essential for achieving sustainable outcomes. I am confident that today's discussion will contribute to a better understanding of these linkages and will help identify ways to further enhance cooperation and effectiveness in our collective efforts. With this, I would like to hand over the floor to our distinguished moderator, Rana, who will guide us through today's discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samir Poladov, for these opening remarks and for sharing with us the updates, the progress, and the challenges that you are currently facing in Azerbaijan. It's really great pleasure for me to be on this distinguished panel. I'm joined here for the side event, as mentioned, entitled From Contamination to Recovery, Mine Action as the Foundation for Reconstruction. Our panel will focus on the integration of mine action into broader recovery and development frameworks, emphasizing the role of coordination efforts in accelerating post-conflict reconstruction. I would like to briefly present to you our members of the panel. I'm joined here to my left by Mr. Elnur Gazimov, the head of the Quality Control Department in Anama. And then I'm also very pleased to have with us on this panel Ms. Rothna Booth, Executive Director for the ASEAN Regional Mine Action Center, the ARMAC. As well, joining us, Ambassador Tobias Privitelli. His Excellency is the Director of the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining. And then we have also as well on the panel Mr. Roman Turcic, the head of the Implementation Office for the Libya-Afghanistan of ITF, Enhancing Human Security. I would like now to turn to Elnur. And Elnur, we'd be very interested to hear from you how Azerbaijan National Agency for Mine Action, ANAMA, and we heard some great opening remarks by Mr. Samir, how ANAMA has approached making mine action and clearance as a starting point for reconstruction and community recovery. Could you as well share with us some insights from your experience?
Thank you so much. Dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is Elnur Gasimov. I'm a Quality Control Department Manager for Mine Action Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan. As our Deputy Chairman, Mr. Poladov, said, in 2020, when the territories of Azerbaijan have been liberated from the occupation, the government of Azerbaijan haven't been able to provide return for hundreds of thousands of former internally displaced people because of the concerns about presence of explosive ordnance in more than 11,667 square kilometers, and also due to the large devastation that we faced in the hundreds of villages in Azerbaijan. The presence of landmines and explosive ordnance did create a big obstacle for providing the return of civilians, and the mixture of the rubbles with the explosive ordnance created a reality that Azerbaijan would made a decision to provide a large scale of capacity, because Azerbaijan in mine action have been existing since 1998. But in 2021, Azerbaijan established 5 national socio-economic priorities, and one of those 5 national priorities were a great return to the liberated territories. And the first activity in the state program, Great Return program, is the mine action. And the humanitarian demining in Azerbaijan isn't applied in isolation with the other program. It's a first activity in order to provide the safe return of the former internally displaced people. The main contamination in Azerbaijan consists of the anti-personnel landmines, anti-tank mines, different types of unexploded and abandoned munitions, and also booby traps and improvised explosive devices. Due to the subject which dedicated to the reconstruction, we eliminated a lot of pictures about the demining operations, and we would like to show you the real challenges that we face in the Republic of Azerbaijan. The landmines and explosive ordnance not just under the surface, they are on the trees, under the ground, in the wells. And Mr. Deputy Chairman said, since 1991 till now, more than 3,500 people killed or injured by landmines. And after 2020, 422 people killed and injured by explosive ordnance. And after the liberation of the territories, before we assumed that the high density of landmines will be found just in the former line of contact, but when the time passed and we saw that the incidents happens in different regions, and that's why today mine action program in Azerbaijan, the mining organizations put a lot of efforts to the technical survey in order to understand and, let's say, reduce the area to find the actual threat. Because when the whole areas are contaminated, it's not predictable, and that's why you have to conduct survey and measure the existing threat. You see the map with different colors. It means different organizations involved into the mining operations. More than 265,000 hectares have been released from the explosive ordnance. More than 41,000 anti-personnel have been found and destroyed, and more than 23,000 anti-tank mines. All these items have been found during the last 5.5 years. And total unexploded and abandoned explosives exceed 183,000 pieces. Today in Azerbaijan, 3,573 operational staff operating in the field, more than 200 mine detection dogs, and 91 different types of demining machines operating in the territories. Just looking at this picture, the yellow sticks, you can understand how dense the landmines. But, you know, when we find this kind of minefields, we become a little bit happy. Why? Because it's a systematic minefield, and you can predict where is the next landmine. When you find a group of landmines in the middle of the suspected territory, you don't understand where it starts and what is the reason. Sometimes the group landmines, just single landmines, you know, make a big suspicion, and you spend a lot of efforts to prove opposite. In 2021, after the war, the government re-established the Mine Action Agency of the Azerbaijan, ANAMA, and authorized ANAMA to coordinate and plan all mine action activities in Azerbaijan. We have a clear system that the National Mine Action Authority, ANAMA, conducts monitoring, quality control over the Ministry of Defense platoons and Ministry of Emergency Situations and State Border Service, NGO and other commercial companies. And all institutions accept it, so as we have a national mine action legislation, national mine action requirements, and all different organizations, state, commercial, ministries accept this reality and work according to the national standards, which is aligned to the IMAS. And in this picture, all the organizations are monitored, and at the end, despite the IMAS 920 have been withdrawn, which was about the post-clearance inspection, we still continue it as a part of the monitoring of mine action organizations standard 740. We still, because in such a reality that having contamination occurred, for building a confidence, we still use this post-conflict post-clearance inspection in Azerbaijan. For protection civilians, we not just only conduct demining operations. We intensively conduct a mine risk education for former internally displaced people, the construction workers. We motivate the amputees, creating the soccer teams, and provide different materials for providing safety. Besides the risk education, the government of Azerbaijan allocated all necessary funding to conduct fencing between the safe areas and areas that contain a large amount of landmines, but we leave it for the later, because our demining organizations have a clear plan, and they exactly know in which months, at which date they have to release the land, so that the construction workers would start. And they also have a deadline, because the government have a specific great return program to partially, village by village, to provide return for the people. And it is expensive. This fencing also exceeds the IMAS marking system, because this permanent physical barrier, according to our standards, could be 3 barbed wire and marking, but we in Azerbaijan are using the net from metal just to provide everybody, not even childs or children or even the sheep or cows could pass this area, because we have witnessed this situation when the people goes in this area and the people want to try to extract them, also become a mine victims. And, so for safety reasons, 310 kilometers of area linearly have been fenced and created a physical barrier. This is a typical view of what happens in the liberated territories. All organizations are in the rush and waiting a certification in order to start their reconstruction, building the settlements, bridges, and roads. Some pictures showing the reconstruction before demining and after the mine action. This is a Tartar district. This is a Zangilan district. It was a ruins, and now the government is building these smart villages for them. And it's not making, in order to make an IDP happy, former IDP happy, it's not enough to build a good apartment or good building. You have to provide all environments, because he will live in a village, he will have to make a cattle breeding, or he have to his yard, and that's why, according to the plans, not just the settlements, all surroundings are cleared for providing the sustainable return. And this picture showing the Fizuli city, which was completely in ruins, but now you can see the 825 families already returned to these new modern buildings and settlements. And this is a Lachen city, how it was before the war, and now the government is creating a best infrastructure for them. It's not enough to build a house. You have to build the schools, hospitals, firefighting systems, all the gas and water pipelines, so that the former IDPs could live there for a long time, not to come back to previous places. This is Agdam city. You can see the settlements and roads built for the former IDPs. And 3 international airports have been built, not rebuilt, built in the liberated territories in Fizuli, Zangilan, and Lachen regions. You can see the strategic transport networks. All this happens in a post-conflict situation. And energy and utility. As Mr. Chairman said, the many millions of dollars have been spent for the demining. You can imagine how it's expensive to rebuild these villages and cities. For your information, in 2 and 3 September 2026, there will be a first international mine action conference in Azerbaijan. Fourth. And Azerbaijan, so as the Azerbaijan government integrated the mine action into the government policy and the strategic plans, we accepted the 18th Sustainable Development Goal in Azerbaijan as a national SDG, 18th, which is a mine action activities. And in this picture, you can see our donor countries and partners. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. El Noor, for this contribution. It's important really for us to hear about the confidence-building measures, as well as the post-clearance inspection methods. And what I heard as well today are the making people happy, right? We often talk about landmine clearance and building bridges to recovery and development, but people are also in the center of all of this, so that's very important to hear. I would like now to turn the floor to Ambassador Privitelli, and I wonder, Your Excellency, if you would like to share with us from GICHD's perspective. By the way, the ambassador is my boss. I'm quoting another colleague. I wonder if you can share with us from GICHD's global perspectives, in your opinion, how do we move as a sector from treating mine action as not just a standalone activity, but to making it really an integral part of this recovery efforts and development frameworks and strategies? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rana. Thank you. This is a very complex question, and I think we could discuss it for many hours. And thank you to our dear colleagues from ANAMA for this impressive overview on the engagement in Azerbaijan. First of all, yes, the GICHD dealt a lot with the question how we move away in mine action from a output-oriented focus to a broader approach, where we try to see mine action as a precondition for reconstruction, as a part of a broader development effort. Now, the studies we did focused on a few countries. One was Iraq. In 2023, we looked at Iraq, how, for instance, humanitarian demining is a precondition in the area of Basra for the establishment of the oil industry after the conflict. And we looked into the details. It is a complex matter. When we look at frameworks, we all understand that in the SDG, we have very little reference to explosive ordnance. We have a very vague framework for our work. That's why some countries like Azerbaijan adopted Goal 18 and take it as a key element in their own development plans. Showing how mine action contributes to the SDGs is easy. We see, of course, constant links, and we did studies, right? Listing the impact of mine action on all the 17 SDGs is not easy. It's not difficult. A schoolboy, a schoolgirl can do that. The complexity is how the link is made. First of all, I would say we need clarity. To come to your question, Rana, we need clarity on the basis. The basis can be a peace agreement, a ceasefire agreement in some context. We had a special session on the Colombian peace agreement yesterday. It's interesting that mine action was so systematically integrated into the peace talks and into the final peace agreement, including in the question of accountability, transitional justice. That's an aspect. Then we come to the domestic legal framework. Some countries, many countries, have a mine action law. Others have a policy, a strategy. I think it's a big advantage to have these systematic frameworks which allow them to link mine action to broader development issues. Then, of course, the development, the economic part of the administration also have their policy papers. And again, it is always useful to have formulations related to explosive ordnance risk in these broader socioeconomic plans, in the ambitions regarding socioeconomic development of countries post-conflict. The amount of questions that have to be solved in these post-conflict situations are huge. And when it comes to explosive ordnance, we have to look into the question of property. To whom does the land belong? To whom did the land during the conflict belong and after? And who is liable? Who is liable if we have an incident on that land? What's the value of that land? There are a lot of legal and economic questions which have to be solved, and it's quite complex. And as we heard from the example of Azerbaijan, sometimes you have IDPs coming up. People had to leave that territory and come back after a conflict. Compensation, liability, responsibility, these are questions which come up. Internally in the administration, I think, yes, it's very important to integrate the part of the administration, the Mine Action Center, the MOD, which is dealing with explosive ordnance risk, into planning, into the cross-ministerial planning discussions, into these bodies, not to leave them out, to take them as part of a broader recovery effort. And finally, these planning efforts have to influence the tasking, the priority setting. I think every single country has the right to define priorities itself. Of course, it is important at the end to clear all land and to give everybody an opportunity. But the countries take decisions based on economic considerations, possibly, right? What we always promote is to have an inclusive nature. That means not to try to discriminate parts of the population. But everybody will be forced in a post-conflict situation to put priority, to set priority, and to look into tasking. I think this is quite clear. And then I think it's always important to take stock in the entire process, to take stock at a certain point, and to see it as a long-term endeavor, right? Long-term means that you will have to accompany the clearance activities on the ground with, for instance, risk education measures, even long-term risk education measures. And my final point would be, try to make mine action an element of your cooperation with donors. Try to have it in these broader agreements on socio-economic development with donors. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tobias, for these important points, starting from peace agreements to even embedding in donor agreements and in other policy and strategy frameworks these links to mine action, so that there is a broader awareness when we are operating in special countries. If I may, I will turn now the floor to Ms. Rothana. And I would like to ask you, from your RMAC perspective on the regional dimension, especially from the South-South cooperation, how can, sorry, I pressed something here.
Still have electricity.
Something is happening. If I may ask, how can regional cooperation, in your perspective, especially in Southeast Asia, moving to another example here, enhance development planning through the sharing of these operational experiences and recovery lessons learned What can we learn from these recovery lesson learned? What can we share with the group here? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rana. And first and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to ANAMA for hosting this important side event. And it is a pleasure for me that have the opportunity to share of what we're doing in Southeast Asia. Okay. Okay. So if we're talking about regarding to recovery, so recovery does not begin with the constructions. It begins with safety. So as Mr. Samir has been mentioned during his remark as well, that recovery, it will be not possible without clearance, without safety. So I'm gonna echo his word, and I completely agree from what he mentioned from the beginning. So across the post-conflict context, one of reality at whole consistency, whereas the land contaminated, recovery is stalled, community hesitate to return, and infrastructure project face delay, and also the agricultural land sit unused, economic lies is contract. So in my actions, address this barrier directly by clearing the land and reducing the risk. It is enable access to allow the government to move forward with reconstructions. It allows community to return and build their lives. In Southeast Asia experience, over past 3 decades, we offer some of the clearest evidence that has been done in our real practice on the ground. So this is where the mind action become essential, but recovery does not happen in isolation. Let's not move. Oh, yeah. So I think it's not.
Going back?
Yes, going back. Okay, yes. So if you're looking at internal recovery again, it's an integrative. It's no single pillar that can be achieved alone. So mind actions, development, community, and policy, it must be worked together. It cannot be standalone. It needs to be complementary each other, work together. So, and it not consequently, but it's a parallel. This is the coordination allow the clearing effort directly support to the broader recovery and reconstruction outcome. And between this coordination, national ownership, it remain essential. So if you're looking at in terms of the national ownership, recovery process is the most active, is the most effective by leading with the national institutions understanding from what their priority, what they need for their own context. External support plays an important role, but the longer-term process, depending on the strong national system guiding the whole process. At the regional level, AMAC support this by facilitating cooperations, exchange among ASEAN member states. While the context differ, many countries face similar challenges, and linking mind action in the broader recovery efforts. Strengthen dialogue and coordination is help to address the challenge more effectively. AMAC work is a structure across the 5 key pillars, including the victim assistance, mind action cooperations, research and knowledge sharing, capacity developments, and innovations. So what is matter is not the pillar of themselves, but is how it works together to support the recoveries in line with the national priority. So at the same time, recovery ultimately is about people. So It is important to keep the focus with the people. Through the field study conducted with the National Authority and Operation across the region, we are going to take a couple of examples that we have conducting in Laos, PDR, and Vietnam, as you see in the slide presentation. So through this field study, AMAC has documented the gap between mine action as designed and mine actions as experienced by community. Recovery is not only about rebuilding infrastructure, it's about restoring access, confidence, and opportunity. So we found that community often not understand the cleaning process, not even know sometimes that what's going on with their own land as well. So, and also the women and marginalized group receive less information. And another part is victim assistance remain fragment under the resources. So at the same time, where the operator engage locally, we see the strongest trust, improve the capacity, and generate the economic participation. So from these key four commitments emerge to ensure that community understand what is happening, reaching to all the group inclusively, building sustainable system rather than short-term support, and linking clearance, recovery, development from the beginning of the process. So this is the commitment that helps shape more effectively and recovery. So there's four principles draw down from AMAC regional experience define what recovery-oriented and mine action require in practice. So the first one is national ownership, build on responding to the member state priority rather than prescribing an external agenda. Regional coordination is earned creditably only when at the national echo. So, and secondly, is regarding to the evidence-based planning, information management, national standard, aligned framework, how enable the member state to moving forward from assumption-led to the evidence-led prioritizations, and making recovery investment more targeted and more effective. Third is South-South learning. Because share contamination, reality is allowed for share solution as well. So when you have the similar contamination, you have the similar contact, you can share among each other, and especially this is what has been done in our region according to South-South corporations. We have Cambodia, provide some share experience to Laos, PDR, and then to Vietnam as well. And the last one is on the fourth is the victim assistance that must be systematic, and recovery it rely on episodic intervention. It is required the connect system linking the mine action with health, disability, and development actor. That what is built the last beyond the single project cycle. And this is what ASEAN just been launching and promoting our regional network, that from our 11 ASEAN member states, we have developed the regional guidelines, share the clear term of reference, how we can say, how we can look at the gap, and how we can provide a solution together. And looking ahead, there is a clear need for the future integrate mine action into recovery development framework. If the recovery to be effective, sustainable, mine action must be considered from the beginning as a part of the overall process. And this leads to one clear conclusion: without safety, recovery cannot be happen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rothna, for these important points. As well, we see people are at the center here, and the inclusivity approach, making sure that marginalized women are not forgotten. And there's a focus on the safety aspect, and thank you for bringing us back as well. You started with the safety and you concluded with the safety as well, looking at importance of national ownership in all of this process. If I may now, and for the sake of time, I will move to Mr. Roman. And I wonder, Roman, from your perspective at the international level, I wonder if you can share some international examples, international partnerships. How can they better connect mine action with development actors to accelerate this post-conflict recovery? And if you can share with us some examples, one or two from your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. I got one presentation, just 4 slides, nothing more. Good. First, I would like to warmly welcome you all on behalf of ITF, Enhancing Human Security. And second, I would like to congratulate my colleagues from Azerbaijan on really extraordinary achievements. My last trip to Azerbaijan dates back to 2004, something like that, and they were really different times at that time. Let me just a few words about where I'm coming from. So ITF is a fundraising organization established in 1998 as somehow a response on a peace agreement in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we helped with the fundraising and distribution of donations through tendering procedures in Bosnia, starting in 1998. But we really very fastly expanded to the region, to the neighboring countries like Croatia, like Serbia, like Kosovo, Albania, North Macedonia. And our main activities, of course, are, it's mine action, of course, it's victim assistance, EORI also was important at that time. Now we are dealing quite a lot with weapons and ammunition management, especially in the region of Central Asia. But here I will stop. Here are just some pictures. One from Iraq, one from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Beekeeping as one of the very interesting things with which can victims earn their daily money. There is picture from disposal operation in Kyrgyzstan, and one picture from Afghanistan, from one orthopedic center in Kabul. Let's move on and try to answer on your question about the partnership model which connect in the early days of mine action centers in the region. That started in 2000. ITF very early recognized that there is a huge need for new learning. Imagine 2000. No huge, I don't know, possibilities for learning, no huge possibilities to go around from workshop to workshop. IMSs were launched in 1998, so it was the beginning. And in 2000, we established this so-called Southeastern European Mine Action Coordination Council as an opportunity to gather together those mine action centers who were all in the beginning of their activities, in the beginning. And I remember the colleagues from Azerbaijan, they were very eager to join us. If you can see, those are only the mine action centers from the region, but they were very eager to join us. Why? As I learned from today, they finished this peace agreement in 2000, and they were in their part of the world, they were alone, without too much experience, and again, they were eager to learn. So they started to attend these meetings. These meetings were usually conveyed in Croatia, when also Croatia organized their conference there. And there was a lot of practical presentations there. There was a lot of, at some point in Croatia, you had 46 or even 54, 56 demining machines, different ones. So Croatia was at that time really some kind of a hub of knowledge, of new technologies, etc., etc. And Azerbaijan joined us, and I hope and I think that they help them to grow up, to learn from other practices, etc., etc. That we were working good from that list here. One thing is also obvious. 3 of those countries listed here declared mine-free status in accordance with Article 5. We are talking about North Macedonia in 2006, we are talking about Albania in 2009, and we are talking about Croatia this year. So, 3 countries out of 8 are out. They are finished. So, again, but of course, this model helped to disseminate knowledge, to disseminate learning, etc., etc. But mine action centers in separate countries were growing. They were started to figure it out what their role in the country is, and they started to connect with other state institutions, etc., etc. So, of course, the main state priorities were coming in front of them. I cannot tell, of course, but they were presented very clearly in Azerbaijani case. But I can tell for many cases where we were connected, mine action centers in those countries were connected with state institutions, and where the mining take place in front of I don't know, these huge infrastructure projects. Like many of you are driving to the seaside, to Croatia, on a fancy highway, which was in the days of a war. That was a war zone between the Serbs and Croatian forces. Exactly that road was. It was demined about 10 years before the construction. Same thing goes for let's say so, highway through Bosnia and Herzegovina. The 10 years before any construction work, there was this demining along the Sava River, where some huge interconnection was done, etc., etc. Now, through this, we somehow started to cooperate closely with Azerbaijani colleagues, and let's go on a last slide. And due to the fact that we know your problems, we managed to time get into deeper cooperation. We managed to somehow intrigue our donors that they invested also in Azerbaijan. So this establishment of cooperation that is mostly you're coming to these CEMAC meetings in Croatia and in other parts of Southeast Europe. But then was this second phase from 2005 to 2007, when we supported through one larger donation establishment and support of your emergency response teams. We strengthened operational coordination and control structures, and development of training and quality assurance capacities. These were training and quality assurance teams as well. So that was a project from 2005 to 2007, and then was another project more related with victims assistance with EURI. There was from 2000, this project lasts from 2007 to 2013, rehabilitation system assessment, specialist trainings, and such things. Now, lately, we are doing on from 2002 some small businesses we were supporting, some socio-economic help. So these were rather smaller projects connected with victim assistance. But nevertheless, due to the fact that we established this cooperation, we managed to attract donors also for your projects. So with this, I will slowly finish to leave some room for questions as well. Again, congratulations to Azerbaijani colleagues on their achievements. And hopefully soon we will have also your declaration on my free status, I don't know, in some years in front. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oops. Thank you very much, Roman, for these words and intervention, highlighting the importance and the examples from the East Europe, and you clearly highlighted some countries are now done, as you said, and the importance of the partnership as well with Azerbaijan, with ANAMA, and I invite you to visit Azerbaijan. Having been there recently myself, it has massively changed. It's fascinating to see really the recovery effort and the work that has been conducted by ANAMA. We are very short on time. We have to leave the room sharp by 10. I would like still to leave a space for 1 or 2 questions maximum. Gentlemen there, please. Very brief, please, very brief and direct. And please tell us who you would like your question addressed to.
Thank you very much. My name is Mustafa Yeter. I am the director of Turkish Mine Action Center. First of all, I would like to congratulate Azerbaijan and ANAMA for the great effort they put to clean the contaminated area on the liberated Karabakh region. And I believe that if ANAMA and Azerbaijan could able to get the map of the contaminated area and the minefield reports, it would be very useful for them to accelerate their work in the area. So as also were agreed during the ceasefire agreement. But during your briefing, we understand that you faced not only the conventional mines, land mines, but also IEDs, improvised land mines, even booby traps. So it seems very complex and dangerous area for the deminers. Could you able to give us what kind of main challenges did you face in this multi-complex contaminated area during the demining activity? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your question. Of course, during each stage of the humanitarian demining operations, information is crucial. Yes, we received some amount of maps, but those maps are not correct, and especially they contain information that we actually knew where the landmine should be. In the middle of the 2 forces, everybody expects a landmine. But when some forces are leaving some territory, they put the landmines in unpredictable places. That's why Azerbaijan is using a lot of technical survey efforts, non-technical information analysis in order to define the real threat in a big suspected territory. But mostly we use mechanical demining machines and dogs in order to squeeze the huge area to find the real threat. About the booby traps, some countries have just landmines in the border, some have just abandoned explosive devices, some mainly cluster munitions, but we have all of them. We have landmines, abandoned ammunition, cluster munitions, and booby traps, for example, in one specific urban area. And that's why we also have a strict deadline in order to provide a handover territory, and the number is increased. Before we were just had 300 deminers. Now the number of operational staff exceeds 3,000 in Azerbaijan. So we have national standards, legislation, and try to hand over this territory safely without booby traps, landmines, and other explosives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time. I would like us to conclude. I would like to thank you once again for joining this session. Thank you to Anama. My takeaway from this session is that recovery is and should be linked to mine action at the policy level, at the strategy level, but as well we should not forget about people. People are centered. We spoke about national ownership, the importance of that, and I think Anama is a great example when it comes to national ownership. We also spoke of other efforts that are on the side of mine action and should not be forgotten, including the victim assistance, marginalized societies, especially when we speak about the integration of women. Let's continue these efforts, and I'm sorry that the session, I think we could spend more time on this. We have to stick to the